Every day, each one of us is handed 24 hours, a priceless fortune of time. It doesn't matter who you are, where you come from, or what you do. This is the one gift given equally to all people. Yet, how few truly understand the power hidden in just one of those hours. There exists a single habit, practice for only 1 hour a day, that can transform your life beyond anything you can now imagine. 1 hour devoted to deliberate growth, to self-directed improvement, will yield returns greater than gold, greater than any investment the world could offer. You see, most people rise each morning and immediately surrender to the chaos of the day. They rush from one task to another, pushed by circumstance, never realizing they are reacting to life instead of shaping it. But a rare few choose differently. They reserve one sacred hour, their hour, to become more than they were yesterday. That 1 hour can take many forms. It might be an hour of study, of quiet reflection, of planning and goal setting, or of feeding the mind with great ideas. It might be an hour of writing, exercising, or reading something that challenges you to think higher and deeper. The form is less important than the purpose, to grow consciously and intentionally. Because success is not a sudden event, it is a direction, and every single day you are either moving towards success or away from it. There is no standing still. The simple act of dedicating 1 hour a day to your growth sets the compass of your life toward achievement, confidence, and peace of mind. Think of it this way. 1 hour each day equals 7 hours a week, roughly 30 hours a month, 360 hours in a year. That's the equivalent of 9 full 40-hour work weeks. Imagine what could happen if you devoted the equivalent of 9 full weeks every year to improving yourself, learning, growing, thinking, planning. Within a few short years, you would become a completely different person, wiser, calmer, more capable, more valuable to yourself and to others. The world rewards value, and the more value you bring, the greater your rewards will be. So when you spend 1 hour a day investing in yourself, you are not wasting time, you are compounding it. You are building a foundation upon which every dream, every goal, every success will one day stand. The difference between the average person and the truly successful one is often nothing more than how they spend that 1 extra hour each day. One spends it idly, while the other spends it intentionally, shaping their future, mastering their mind, crafting their destiny. So take 1 hour. Guard it as you would your most precious treasure. Make it your time for growth, your time for learning, your time for creation. Because if you can discipline yourself to give just 1 hour each day to becoming better than you were yesterday, your entire life will begin to change. And one day, you'll look back and realize that it wasn't a miracle, it wasn't luck, it was that 1 hour. The hour that changed everything. Every day we are given a silent invitation to transform our lives. But most of us are too hurried, too distracted, too overwhelmed to recognize it. The clock hands move as they always have, and within every cycle of 24 hours, we are granted 1 hour, one golden opportunity that can alter the entire course of our existence. Time is the one resource we all possess equally. It doesn't matter whether you were born in a mansion or a modest home, whether you hold a degree or never finish school. Each of us wakes up with the same 24 hours, but it is how we use those hours that determines the quality, richness, and direction of our lives. There is 1 hour hidden in your day that, if devoted to your growth, will begin to rewrite your destiny. That 1 hour is not about doing more, but about being more. It is about stepping out of the noise of the world and into the quiet space of purpose. Most people move through life reacting to circumstances, answering messages, responding to pressures, running from task to task without reflection. Their lives become mechanical, driven by routine rather than vision. But the few who rise above mediocrity understand something. Profound growth does not happen by accident. It happens by appointment. When you deliberately set aside an hour each day to grow, to think, to learn, to improve, you begin to claim authority over your future. You stop living as a passenger in your own life and take the wheel with steady, deliberate hands. This hour becomes a sacred ritual. It can begin in the quiet of dawn or the stillness of night, but its power lies in consistency. During this hour, you turn your attention inward and upward, feeding your mind, nurturing your spirit, strengthening your resolve. You might read a great book, listen to an inspiring message, study a new skill, or simply reflect on your goals and the kind of person you are becoming. What matters most is not the activity itself, but the intention behind it, to grow deliberately, to expand your mind beyond the narrow boundaries of yesterday. This 1 hour is the difference between drifting aimlessly and sailing purposefully. Imagine how powerful it is to dedicate 1 hour each day purely to your advancement. Over a week, that's 7 hours. Over a month, it's 30 hours. Over a year, it becomes more than 360 hours. The equivalent of 9 full work weeks spent entirely on yourself. Picture what would happen if you used that time to study your craft, to strengthen your character, to build your mindset, to deepen your understanding of life and success. You would evolve into a person of rare ability and insight. Your mind would sharpen, your confidence would grow, and your decisions would begin to carry the quiet strength of someone who knows where they are going. This is the simple truth that so few realize. Success is not an event, it is a direction. Every day you are either moving toward it or away from it. There is no neutral ground. Each thought you entertain, each decision you make, each use of your time is either constructing or dismantling the life you desire. That 1 hour, if used wisely, becomes the anchor of progress, the fixed point around which your life begins to turn toward greatness. People often search for secrets, shortcuts, or miracles, but they overlook the obvious truth that consistent growth, practiced daily, creates the kind of momentum no luck or chance could ever replace. Most people never find this hour because they never look for it. They allow their time to be consumed by distractions. Endless scrolling, meaningless conversations, habitual entertainment, unplanned business. And then they wonder why nothing changes, why each year feels like the last. The truth is, you can reclaim your future simply by reclaiming 1 hour of your day. 1 hour to disconnect from noise and reconnect with purpose. 1 hour to rise above mediocrity and step into mastery. Think about the principle of compounding. In finance, a small investment, if compounded over time, can grow into a fortune. The same law applies to the mind. 1 hour a day spent developing your potential compounds into extraordinary results. Each session builds upon the last. Each day you grow a little wiser, a little more disciplined, a little more capable. At first, the changes seem invisible. But over months and years, the results become undeniable. People will look at you and call you lucky, never realizing that your transformation was built quietly, 1 focused hour at a time. And this habit requires no special talent, no remarkable circumstances. All it asks is commitment, the decision to treat 1 hour each day as sacred. That hour becomes your private workshop where you craft the future, your sanctuary where you nourish the mind and strengthen the will. It is in this hour that ideas take shape, goals become clear, and the fog of confusion begins to lift. When you commit to that single hour, you begin to notice changes in every other part of your life. Your conversations deepen, your work improves, your confidence rises. You find yourself thinking with greater clarity, speaking with greater purpose, and acting with greater intention. The truth is, most people underestimate what they can accomplish in a single focused hour. They believe transformation requires massive effort, yet they fail to see that massive effort begins with small, consistent acts. 1 hour may seem insignificant, but when multiplied by days, months, and years, it becomes a force that can reshape your entire destiny. 1 hour each day can turn confusion into confidence, aimlessness into direction, and frustration into fulfillment. It is the habit that separates those who live by design from those who live by default. The time is already yours. It always has been. The only question is whether you will use it intentionally or let it slip quietly away. The 1 hour habit is simple, but its simplicity is what makes it powerful. It asks for only your time and your attention, 2 things that once combined can create miracles. You do not need permission, you do not need resource, you do not need perfect conditions. All you need is the decision to begin, because in that 1 hour every day lies the seed of your future, waiting for you to give it life through deliberate growth and unwavering commitment. Most people live in reaction to life rather than in creation of it. They wake up and immediately surrender to the demands of the day, letting circumstances dictate their emotions, their pace, their choices. They are pulled in 100 directions by outside forces because they have never learned to direct their own inner power. Yet the truth is, every person has within them the ability to become the architect of their own future, and that ability begins with one decision. The decision to stop reacting and start growing intentionally. When you dedicate 1 focused hour each day to your growth, you are no longer tossed around by the currents of life. You begin to steer your own ship with purpose and precision. To live reactively is to exist without direction. It is to let the external world define what is important and urgent, rather than defining it for yourself. But when you take control of even 1 hour of your day, you reclaim your power. That hour becomes your declaration that your life will be guided by vision, not by accident. It is a time when you quiet the noise and listen to your own thoughts, when you align your daily actions with your deepest values and long-term goals. Instead of responding to every demand that comes your way, you begin to respond to life from a place of clarity and intention. You start to act rather than react, and that single shift changes everything. Growth is not automatic, it must be chosen deliberately. Just as a garden must be cultivated to bear fruit, the mind must be tended to produce wisdom, strength, and direction. If you do not deliberately plant the seeds of growth, the weeds of mediocrity will take root by default. The habit of giving yourself 1 hour each day to learn, reflect, and grow ensures that your mind remains fertile ground for ideas, insights, and possibilities. It prevents you from becoming stagnant, from living out the same patterns year after year while expecting different results. Each session of focused growth is like adding a brick to the foundation of your future, and over time, that structure becomes unshakable. There is something transformative that happens when you consciously set aside time to improve yourself. You begin to see life differently. The same challenges that once seemed overwhelming now appear as opportunities to test your new awareness. You become calmer in the face of problems because you have equipped your mind with understanding. You start to recognize patterns of thought and behavior that once controlled you, and you replace them with patterns that serve your goals. The 1-hour habit creates a quiet revolution within you. It rewires your perception of what is possible, and with that change in perception, your entire world begins to shift. While others are rushing through their days, reacting to whatever comes next, you will find yourself operating from a higher plane of awareness. You will have clarity about what truly matters and the strength to pursue it without distraction. You will notice opportunities that others overlook because your mind has been trained to see beyond the surface. You will begin to attract better results not through chance, but through the law of preparation, because the person you are becoming through daily growth is capable of handling greater challenges and reaping greater rewards. The hour of intentional growth does not belong to the world, it belongs to you. It is not a time for noise, but for nourishment. It is not a time for reacting, but for directing. It is a quiet meeting between who you are and who you are becoming. Each day that you honor it, you strengthen your ability to live from purpose rather than impulse. And while the rest of the world moves through their days responding to circumstances they cannot control, you will be steadily building a life that reflects your vision, your discipline, and your deliberate choice to grow beyond reaction into creation. Consistency is the great multiplier of results, the quiet force that turns small daily actions into extraordinary transformation. Most people underestimate what can be accomplished through steady repetition. They look for breakthroughs, sudden changes, or moments of luck, yet the truth is that greatness rarely arrives in bursts. It unfolds slowly, quietly, through consistent effort applied day after day. When you devote 1 hour each day to your growth, you may not notice much difference at first, but over time, the compounding effect of that discipline begins to reshape every part of your life. 1 hour may seem insignificant in a single day, but over a year, that same hour adds up to more than 360 hours of focused development. That is the equivalent of 9 full work weeks dedicated solely to improving yourself. Imagine spending 9 uninterrupted weeks every year studying, thinking, reading, planning, and refining your goals. Imagine what would happen to your confidence, your clarity, your skill, and your understanding of the world. It is impossible to remain the same person after investing that much deliberate time in your growth. What begins as a simple daily habit becomes a powerful force of transformation. The key lies not in intensity but in consistency. Most people start strong but fail to continue. They are motivated for a few days, maybe a few weeks, but when the initial excitement fades, they drift back into old routines. Yet the truly successful understand that consistency is what turns a wish into a reality. They show up even when it's inconvenient, even when the results aren't visible yet. They understand that growth is like planting a seed. You cannot see what's happening beneath the soil, but with daily care, roots are forming, strength is building, and eventually the results break through for the world to see. Each day you commit to your 1 hour, you are making a deposit into the bank of your future. The returns are not always immediate, but they are inevitable. The mind expands through repetition. The more you feed it with purposeful learning, reflection, and action, the sharper it becomes. Over time, what once seemed difficult becomes effortless. What once seemed impossible begins to feel natural. You start to notice your thoughts aligning more with your goals, your conversations becoming more intentional, and your habits reflecting your higher standards. That is the quiet power of consistency. It reprograms your mind to operate at a new level of excellence. The compounding effect of consistency also creates confidence. Each day you honor your commitment to that 1 hour, you prove to yourself that you can be trusted. You develop self-respect, knowing that you follow through on your promises. This quiet confidence begins to influence every area of your life. You carry yourself differently, think differently, make decisions differently. The discipline that you cultivate in that 1 hour spills into the other 23. Soon you find that the same focus you apply in your growth hour begins to shape how you approach your work, your relationships, your health, and your purpose. The beauty of consistency is that it does not demand perfection, it only demands persistence. You do not have to be extraordinary to begin. You only need to begin and refuse to stop. Over time the hours accumulate, and the results begin to appear almost effortlessly. People around you may wonder how you've changed so much, how your mindset, attitude, and success have evolved so dramatically. They will not see the hundreds of quiet hours you spent alone, working on yourself, feeding your mind, sharpening your vision. But you will know it was the steady, consistent practice of one focused hour a day that made all the difference. It is not what you do once in a while that changes your life. It is what you do every single day. Consistency transforms effort into momentum, momentum into mastery, and mastery into success. That 1 hour, repeated faithfully, becomes a rhythm, a steady pulse guiding you toward the life you were meant to live. The world rewards value, and the value you bring to the world is a direct reflection of the person you become. Every success, every opportunity, every advancement in life flows naturally to those who have developed themselves into people of worth. You cannot attract more until you become more. This is why the 1 hour habit is so powerful. It is not merely a routine of study or reflection, but a deliberate act of increasing your value. Each day, as you invest that 1 hour in growth, you are increasing your capacity to think, to solve, to create, and to contribute. You are becoming a person who can do more, serve more, and therefore earn more, both materially and spiritually. Many people look at success as something external, something to be chased or pursued. They believe if they could just find the right opportunity, meet the right person, or stumble upon the right timing, their lives would finally change. But opportunity comes only to those who have prepared themselves to recognize and seize it. The 1 hour habit is the process of preparation. It is how you refine your mind, develop your awareness, and train yourself to become sensitive to possibilities that others miss. When you dedicate time to personal growth, you are in effect sharpening your tools, ensuring that when life presents you with an opening, you are ready to step forward and use it. Every hour you spend developing yourself compounds your ability to create value. You begin to see patterns that others overlook, connect ideas that others ignore, and make decisions with greater clarity. The world does not pay for time, it pays for value. Time is given to all, but value is created by few. The difference between the person who merely gets by and the one who thrives lies in what they do with their time. Those who invest their 1 hour a day in purposeful learning and reflection are constantly expanding the invisible capital of the mind. They are increasing their understanding, strengthening their emotional control, and expanding their creative capacity, all of which translate directly into greater value in the world. As you increase your value, you also expand your influence. People are naturally drawn to those who carry wisdom, stability, and confidence. They sense it in your words, your presence, your actions. The person who invests in daily growth speaks differently, listens differently, and acts differently. They bring solutions rather than complaints, direction rather than confusion. And because they add value wherever they go, life begins to reward them accordingly. Opportunities seem to find them, but it is not luck, it is the natural law of cause and effect. The more value you create, the more doors open before you. The 1 hour habit also refines your sense of purpose. When you spend time each day learning, reflecting, and thinking deeply, you begin to understand what truly matters. You gain clarity about your strengths, your calling, and the unique ways you can serve others. This clarity allows you to channel your energy more effectively. Instead of scattering your efforts in every direction, you become focused, deliberate, and efficient. You stop wasting time on what is trivial and begin investing your best in what is meaningful. The result is that your impact multiplies and so does your fulfillment. Value creation is not a one-time act, it is a continuous process. Just as muscles strengthen with repeated training, your mind and character strengthen through repeated acts of deliberate growth. Every book you read, every insight you reflect on, every new skill you practice adds another layer to your inner strength. Over time, these invisible layers build a foundation that nothing can shake. You become someone others depend on, someone who stands out not by demand but by distinction. The difference between you and those who remain stagnant is not intelligence or talent, but the quiet discipline of increasing your value 1 hour at a time. When you make this hour a priority, you align yourself with one of life's greatest truths, that success is never pursued, it is attracted. And it is attracted by the person you become through the steady accumulation of value, wisdom, and purpose. Time is the most valuable resource any human being possesses, yet it is the most often wasted. Unlike money, time cannot be earned back, borrowed, or saved. Once it passes, it is gone forever. The tragedy is that so many people give their hours away to distractions, to trivial pursuits, to noise that adds nothing to their growth. They trade the priceless for the meaningless without even realizing it. But those who understand the value of time treat it with reverence. They recognize that each hour carries within it the potential to transform their future, and they guard it as they would their most precious treasure. The 1 hour habit is built upon this truth, that time, when used deliberately, becomes the most powerful investment a person can make. When you set aside 1 hour each day for your growth, you are taking control of your time rather than allowing it to control you. You are saying to yourself and to the world that your development matters more than momentary comfort or fleeting entertainment. That hour becomes sacred, a space where you deliberately step out of the noise of life to work on yourself. Most people spend their time maintaining the outer world, their homes, their possessions, their appearances, but few take the same care to maintain their inner world, yet it is the inner world that determines the quality of everything else. The 1 hour you give yourself each day is an act of alignment where you refine your thoughts, strengthen your focus, and renew your purpose. When you begin to see time as an investment rather than something to be filled, everything changes. Each hour becomes a seed, and what you plant in that seed determines the kind of harvest you will reap. You can plant distraction and regret, or you can plant growth and progress. Time is neutral. It simply reflects what you put into it. The 1 hour habit transforms time from a passing measurement into a tool for creation. It teaches you that how you use your time is how you shape your destiny. With every hour spent in learning, reflection, and self-discipline, you are silently constructing the future you desire. Guarding your hour also builds discipline. In a world that constantly demands your attention, to claim 1 uninterrupted hour for yourself is an act of strength. It requires saying no to things that do not serve you, to people and activities that drain your energy. It is not selfishness. It is self-respect. By prioritizing your growth, you are declaring that your life has direction and meaning. You begin to notice that your relationship with time changes. You no longer rush through your days. You become more aware, more deliberate, more focused. The same 24 hours that once slipped through your fingers now become tools in your hands. Time rewards those who respect it. When you spend 1 hour each day improving your mind, your understanding, your discipline, and your purpose, time begins to multiply its benefits. You become more effective in everything else you do. The tasks that once took hours are completed with ease because your mind is sharper, your thoughts clearer. Opportunities that once passed unnoticed now appear clearly before you. You begin to live with a sense of direction, and your results start to reflect the quality of your hours. Every moment of your life is shaped by how you use your time. The difference between a life of quiet frustration and a life of purpose and fulfillment is not talent or luck. It is how one chooses to invest their hours. The 1 hour habit transforms ordinary time into extraordinary power. It proves that you do not need more hours in a day. You simply need to use one of them with complete focus and intention. That 1 hour becomes the turning point, the quiet force that separates the person who drifts through time from the one who uses time to build a life of mastery, direction, and meaning. Discipline is the bridge between intention and achievement, the invisible force that transforms dreams into reality. It is easy to talk about goals, to visualize success, to wish for change, but only discipline turns desire into accomplishment. The 1 hour habit is not merely about time, it is about the cultivation of discipline. The decision to show up every day regardless of mood, circumstance, or convenience. Discipline is the quiet commitment to act even when no one is watching, even when results have not yet appeared, even when the excitement has faded and only duty remains. It is the habit that shapes character and defines destiny. When you discipline yourself to dedicate 1 hour every day to growth, you are building the muscle of self-mastery. You are training your mind to obey your higher will rather than your fleeting emotions. Most people live at the mercy of how they feel. They work when they feel motivated. They quit when they feel tired. They act when it's easy, and they avoid when it's uncomfortable. But those who rise above mediocrity understand that feelings are unreliable guides. They act not because they feel like it, but because they have decided to. Each day that you honor your hour of growth, you strengthen the habit of keeping promises to yourself, and that habit becomes the foundation of confidence and power. Discipline gives structure to your life. It transforms chaos into order, confusion into clarity. When you set a specific hour for your personal development and protect it, you begin to live with greater control over your time and energy. You no longer drift through your days hoping to find time. You make time. This small act of organization ripples through everything else you do. It teaches your mind that your priorities matter and that your word to yourself is unbreakable. Over time, you start to notice that the discipline you practice in that 1 hour spills naturally into the rest of your life. You eat better, think better, work better, and manage your responsibilities with greater precision and calm. The true reward of discipline is freedom. While undisciplined people are slaves to impulse, the disciplined person is free to act with purpose. They are not controlled by distraction, temptation, or delay. They command themselves with quiet authority. That 1 daily hour of focused effort builds this internal freedom. It trains you to do what must be done whether or not it feels easy or convenient. And once you master that, you begin to trust yourself completely. You stop doubting your ability to follow through because your record proves that you can. Discipline gives you power over your own life, and that power is the essence of success. Discipline also builds endurance. Growth is not always visible, and progress often moves slowly. Many people quit because they mistake stillness for stagnation, not realizing that every disciplined act builds unseen momentum. When you persist day after day, even when results seem distant, you are training your mind to endure, to persist through difficulty, and to trust the process. That quiet persistence becomes one of your greatest advantages. While others give up at the first sign of challenge, you keep going because you have trained yourself to value consistency over comfort. The disciplined mind becomes a creative mind. It is through discipline that ideas are completed, skills are mastered, and goals are realized. Without discipline, even the brightest vision fades into wishful thinking. With it, even the smallest effort becomes meaningful. The 1-hour habit teaches you to respect structure, to honor commitment, and to take deliberate action. It transforms effort into progress and progress into transformation. Discipline is the unseen force that shapes leaders, creators, and achievers. It is not the grand gestures, but the small, consistent acts, the decision to sit down, to focus, to learn, to grow for 1 hour each day, that eventually separate those who merely wish for success from those who live it.